Working in a mine or other construction site often puts you in the working proximity of high walls, benches, and overhangs. Working above and below these locations come with several areas of safety to keep in mind at all times. High walls are defined as any vertical or extremely steep slope on a job site and are most often created from work such as mining, drilling, blasting, and mucking. Working around high walls come with risks that can end in the damage or destruction of equipment and vehicles, not to mention accidents that can easily cause injury and loss of life. When working below a high wall, you're faced with the constant danger of possible falling rocks, dirt, and debris. Be sure to make a thorough inspection for any safety issues before beginning any work around a high wall. Remember that even though a high wall may have been stable for days, weeks, or even months, constant environmental changes are continually affecting the structural stability of the wall. Places like joints, faults, fractures, and mud seams are especially vulnerable. Things such as blast damage, heavy machinery, freeze and thaw cycles, water drainage, and root growth are just some of the things that can compromise sections of a wall enough to make it come crashing down. If you spot any possible hazards or questionable sections, report them to the foreman immediately for additional inspection. Whenever possible, you should move equipment and materials away from the high wall before beginning work, tire inspection, or maintenance of any kind. Working safely means keeping the proper distance from the base of the wall. For every foot in height, you should keep about 2/3 of that distance away from the base of the high wall. So if you have a wall that's roughly 100 feet tall, you should be at least 65 feet away from the base. It's also a good idea to have an additional person with you while you work that can watch for any unexpected hazards that may arise or call for help if necessary. You should also check in with your supervisor or site foreman with the details of your location and the work you're performing before you start. As an additional safety precaution, turn equipment so that you're working on the opposite side, facing away from the high wall. If you can't turn the equipment away from the high wall, be sure to place a barrier between yourself and the wall, such as a vehicle or other piece of equipment. Additionally, you should never turn your back to the high wall. You never know when an unexpected object may come loose and fall or roll off and away from the wall. When conditions require you to work around a high wall, remember that even though you may feel like you're at a safe distance from the base of the wall, falling objects can have a lot of momentum and can easily roll away from the base, causing tremendous damage and deadly consequences if you aren't paying attention. If you're working at the top of a high wall or on a bench, keep in mind when working near any edge that loose dirt and materials can easily give out underfoot, resulting in fatal falls. Additionally, fault lines can easily extend well beyond the edge of a wall and can unexpectedly give out. So remember that it's always best to give yourself a wide margin of safety anytime you're working above a high wall. Remember these basic safety tips whenever you're working on a job site that has a high wall, and you can possibly save a life, even your own, by simply keeping aware of your surroundings and following a few very simple steps.